Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back into another live stream here. Mr. Creeper. That's someone's name. That's why I said that. We've got some stuff with, looks like Thomas Massey, Usha and JD Vance in Minnesota. Yeah, JD Vance visited the Catholic school where the shooting happened, and there were some hecklers, some people not too happy. Cowgirls versus Birds. I don't know, man. I got the Eagles winning pretty easily in that one. Ohio will cover 3.5. That's a crazy spread. It's a crazy spread, 3.5 against West Virginia. I saw you on EA College 25. Is it good this year? I don't have it. The newer one is 26. I don't have 26. I have the dude, if you saw me on there, that would have been me trying to download 20. I didn't even play it. I was trying to download like a 10 hour free trial or something. So that's probably what you saw. Yeah, you meant 26. I didn't even play it, so I don't know, dude. Those games seem really like the college football return of those games seems like a bust. Seems like they didn't include much of anything. So, still talking about the Epstein files. Well, I saw something. There was an interesting clip of NBC or MSNBC, some news publication interviewing some of the women involved in the outing of some of this information, some of the victims, and they said Trump was not involved at all. And it was like 7 of them together in like a focus group or like a, conjugated together. And they said Trump is not involved. We never heard Trump once. And these are the victims saying it. So it's pretty powerful. Guess what? There were 1,000 victims. Guess what? The Democrats had control of the executive branch for 4 years. And if Trump's guilty, boy, what a terrible oversight for the guy that they call Hitler to not catch him on being a pedo. That seems completely illogical. Juan, what's up, man? Did you see Nancy Mace coping and crying as she walked out talking about the victims? Yeah, no, I saw her. I saw that video of her walking out like really teary-eyed and stuff. So yeah, I mean, I wish Trump had handled it better, but I don't know. The administration handled it the way they handled it. Trump said it was a hoax or something, and Trump probably got bad information or something. Trump's a boomer, so he's gonna be problems sometimes. Why did Massey do a press conference to raise more money? What NFL team has the hardest schedule? I have no clue. I don't know about that one, man. The hardest schedule. I haven't looked into that. I would imagine a team. Normally, the NFC West is pretty good. Although I guess Arizona may or may not be good. The victims cleared Trump's name in an interview with CNN, which makes Trump's refusal to be transparent even more puzzling. Well, obviously, it's a lot deeper than Trump. This is a governmental problem that stems and goes back decades. And then there's other factors at play. There's the Israel factor. I mean, it's not just a Trump situation to where Trump can say, "All right, let's release everything." There's a lot of other high-level people that are involved when something like this gets released, and there's an effect that it has on the government. And so that all has to be weighed in deciding what gets released Now Trump said they're going to release more. I mean, they're forced to release more, and they've declassified a bunch of stuff, and they've got the testimony or whatever. And so, look, they've released a million times more stuff on Epstein than the Democrats did. And this is a positive thing, really. You playing the Powerball? I don't play any of the lottery stuff now. Trump can absolutely say release everything. No, it's not how the government works. If Trump says release everything, I think he would be hurting his own administration because of the blowback and the people implicated. I don't think they'd be with. I think it's a governmental trust problem. If you're part of the government at the time and it gets released, there has to be a we don't know what's in. I mean, I don't even know what the files are. People tell me, well, they should release the files. I'm not even sure what the files are. What do you mean by the files? I don't even know what the files would entail. So, thoughts on the red zone news? I think it's terrible. It's just a sign of the times for the NFL, and the half of the NFL games are now in Brazil. They're in freaking Uzbekistan. They're in Zimbabwe, and then they've got this red zone shit where when the red zone went mainstream and Scott Hansen became this social media star, it became terrible. That probably happened in like 2018. Yeah, the red zone used to be really good, and then they mainstreamed it, and the graphics got worse, and there started to be these little ads, and Scott Hansen started to have this ego and try to develop his own like personal brand rather than just showing the games and having fun. And that's why I haven't watched the Red Zone in 5 or 6 years, 4 or 5 years. So it's gone downhill. And now they're like, oh, and on top of that, the entire point of the Red Zone is to not have commercials. But capitalism always wins. And they're going to have commercials now in the Red Zone. You should do a Titanic live stream sometime. Just rewatched Cameron's movie and forgot how great it is. The Titanic, and this happens with me, I go through phases with movies to where I'll be obsessed with them for like a few weeks. The Titanic is definitely one that can get you if you're in the right mood. And I'm not even talking about, the love story or anything like that. I'm talking about the ship itself and the flooding and everything. Yeah, the Titanic's always been a big curiosity of mine, really since I was young. It was a great movie. I mean, they really did a great job. They built the entire they rebuilt the ship basically. I mean, it was a shale version of it. It was hollow, but they rebuilt the ship. All of those scenes were technically with a real siding of a ship. So, really good movie. Dude, I don't even know what to say about this. This is getting strange. DG 2025 Justice for Clyde the cat. The cat is sleeping on my bed. It's an odd. I guess this is what happens with the internet, but how much money do you get from crypto and YouTube? Well, I got to get my own health insurance now. This is a tough situation for me. With my income, they're not too happy with me, and they don't like people that are self-employed getting health insurance. I'll tell you that. I'm off of my mom's plan, and it's very costly. It's a pain in the ass. I got to pay a $450 premium, and that's just to get. That's not even great coverage. It's like decent coverage. Will there be a red zone for college football? Well, whoever does the red zone for college football, the host, they just get egos, and it's just like with the Hanson stuff. The ego. I don't want to hear the lip. I don't want to hear the sayings. Now it's like the cloud of it. and whoever does it for college football, it's gonna be bad. I mean, the red zone, it's a shell of itself. It's bad, and now they're gonna LARP and bring in college football into it. Come on. I mean, I would like a college football red zone. Honestly, I would take it. They used to have something called ESPN Goal Line back like 7 or 8 years ago, and they would show a bunch of the highlights of the games and live updates and look-ins, things like that. After this bull run, we will be set. Yeah, this bull run will retire us. I give it 4 or 5 months. Honestly, we'll be retired. Well, I won't be retired. I can't retire and get too depressed, but I'll be in a very stable financial position. Maybe you don't want to get overzealous. Maybe in 4 or 5, maybe in like 6 or 7 months. Honestly, thoughts on Netflix doing major live stream events like Jake Paul, Mike Tyson fight, Dallas Cowboys, Washington Commanders, Detroit Lions, Minnesota Vikings? Yeah, I think it's terrible. I think it's horrible. I don't think we don't want streaming. We don't want Peacock. We don't want Red Zone, or we don't want Peacock. We don't want Netflix. We don't want HBO Prime. We don't want Prime Video. Just any of it is terrible. For when you watch live sports, it can't be streaming. It's not an option, because the problem with streams is there's constant buffering. It messes with everything. You can't, when you use a streaming service, there's no remote. People say, well, TV is dead. I don't understand how that's possible. You can change the channel in 1 second, in a millisecond with TV. With streaming, it's like this finesse thing to where you have to like 50 different things. You have to click and move. But streaming is just overrated shit. Streaming is a fiasco. And I think it's terrible. I think streaming is real bad. It's, live sports, it's horrible. Even just regular TV streaming is bad. Pizza time, what's up, man? You watching the NFL tomorrow night? What, the Sunday night game? I don't think that's going to be that good of a game. I mean, I'll definitely see. I'll definitely check in on it, maybe. Israel art students who worked on the 91st floor of World Trade Center Tower 1 had 24 access to the towers for 4 years. Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. They had access to World for which years did they have access to? In the late 90s? Streaming fatigue, way too many services. Yeah, but even like I can understand streaming and it's cheaper and all this, and I get it, and people don't want to pay for cable in the boxes, and but with live events you can't stream them. That's that, and you know what it is. It's they're trying to get money out of it. They just want money. Thoughts on Kirk on Will Kane show today? Um, I never saw Charlie Kirk on there, so I don't know. Charlie Kirk was on the Will Kane show. Thoughts on Stream East going under? There's so many though, man. I don't think it'll have an effect. There is so much. There's so many different of those illegal streaming services. So they got rid of a big one. I guess they're trying to offset some of the losses because they're losing money with those illegal streaming services. 100%. Any of the networks are losing money. They're losing ratings to them. So if you get rid of the biggest one, it's going to help a little bit. But there's so many other ones. So I don't know how much it'll help. Did you watch the China parade? Have you noticed how many Chinese commentators are on all the videos? Give us your thoughts. I saw a little bit of the parade. Yes, I saw. Been paying for Netflix for years and can't remember the last time you used it. Feel like you have to have it. Yeah, I don't use Netflix nowadays either because I don't know the password to whatever my account is. So, but did you see what Putin and Xi Jinping were talking about? They were saying they could live to 150 on hot mics with organ donation, organ replacement. Very strange. Pizza time. That would be good. That would be a good development in New Hampshire. My ego was his downfall. Why do you get so defensive and frustrated when asked about Clyde? Well, dude, it's just you've got this weird obsession with my cat, and like even other commentators can, even other chatters can reason and sympathize with me. You have a strange now you've made an account for him, and you're sending these paragraphs over and over and over. And at first, it's okay. I get it. It's a joke. That's fine. Then it gets borderline obsessive, and now I don't know what this can even. What has this devolved into? Mm-hmm. Address the housing situation. Well, it's a number of factors. The biggest is supply. Yeah, I saw some liberal comment on one of my. The biggest issue is supply and demand. There's too many immigrants. Zoning is a major problem, and then unfortunately, incentive is another problem. It's more lucrative to build luxury apartments rather than cheaper housing. But it's a number of things, man. But the number one thing is supply and demand. I think that's what JD Vance said too. Why is Massey relevant? Because he's seen as like a counter to Trump, but he's conservative, so it's rare. I mean, look, you don't have to ban him. You don't have to ban him. You don't have to ban him, but I just he needs to maybe a therapist. Although I don't know if that even helps. Maybe something would help him. You're giving him a 5 minute timeout. I don't know if that's gonna do anything. I think he'll. But yeah, that's fine. Mm-hmm. 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 You gonna edit the typo in your video about the call to the news while tapped into the towers? What video are you talking about? 9/11 video? Yeah, I don't know if that's gonna help. I mean, who knows with him? Thoughts on Palmer paying Leonard with a phony tree company? What an idiot. Kawhi essentially stealing money from the Clippers, not working at. I have no clue about that. Something with the Clippers and salary cap manipulation? The LA Clippers? Yeah, I have no clue about that. How much do you think that goes on in the NBA to get around salary cap? I mean, the salary caps are a joke. Look at the. I guess there isn't a salary cap in baseball, but look at how the Dodgers operate with their how they pay the deferred money that they have on contracts. I'm sure there's a bunch of shit. Salary caps really don't even make sense. Like look at the New Orleans Saints salary cap situation and how they keep deferring, and it's like 9/11 video labeled tapped into the towers instead of trapped in. It's supposed to say trapped into the towers. I don't know about that. I mean, I'll have to look for it if I maybe I search it on my channel. Yeah, that was the first vlog I ever did. The vlog with that. That was just a random video when I was trying to come up with ideas for videos, you know. Too much Massey hate from me. It's really I've been actually very I've been very fair to Massey. I barely said anything bad about him. I just said I think he's well, you know what? You know, Massey voted for a lot of Biden spending, and so now he wants to take this big stand against Trump. He's now this anti-Israel simp, and so he's going to do that. It's very easy to do that. It is, right? We have to work together. There's certain things you're not going to get. It's the fake grandstanding. Payment structures for all professional sports teams are based on advertising equations, not talent. You think it's unhealthy for the industry? Yeah, but it's just the capitalist principle. I mean, what a sport is worth is how many people are going to watch it. No, I think the dual citizenship is really good. It's more complicated than me saying, "Oh, Massey's bad." I think there shouldn't be dual citizenship. I think it's bad when there is, and it's a problem, and it shouldn't exist. So I agree with Massey on that. There's certain things I agree with Massey on, but it's this fake moral standing with him when he previously voted for a bunch of Biden stuff, and it's just there's obviously a segment of people that are going to like this from Massey because they think Trump is a cuck to Israel, and that's really what this comes down to. Let's just call it what it is. Did you see how they released the missing minute from the Epstein cell video? No, I didn't see that. But I thought I thought they said it was missing about 3 minutes, but I don't know. News on Ilhan Omar's husband's company's $30 million. Yeah, I saw it. They're all corrupt. But she really should be deported. She seriously should be deported. I don't know. You remember the reports that she married her brother? Just deport her. But they're never gonna do it. And now that her husband has a $30 million company, oh, there's a shocker. Another politician that's hiding money. That's great. Alex Jones blowing up on. Thank you for the donation. I appreciate it. Alex Jones blowing up on Owen Schroyer. What even is his name was funny. Yeah, I think I support Alex on that. Owen Schroyer got obsessed with Israel and just lost it, and then started to try and act like he was this big shot. This is what Alex was saying. So, yeah, I don't know. Just finished watching your video on the dancing Israelis. Good, unbiased view. Yeah, that was a video that I did do a lot of research on because I was well, originally it is crazy when you look like how just the general ether can shape your view. I went into the researching that video thinking it was like this just this fake over embellished thing, and some of it is over embellished, like the Israeli influence. But I was very shocked when I researched that, and that was 100% true. And the declassified photos and everything like that. So I was astounded, and I was like, I should probably do a video on this because that surprised me, honestly, because I went into it thinking, oh, there a lot of times with these conspiracy theories and stuff like that, they'll take 5 different things and then they'll manipulate the history of it and manipulate the context of it. But it was like, no, this is very clearly, it's pretty clear what happened here, and just in terms of that. So I tried to present it just because you can definitely tint it in a certain way and go further, and I tried not to do that because there's no reason for me to do that. I'm not this I'm not obsessed with Israel or anything like that, but I just thought it was an intriguing thing. You fully support Ilhan Omar gifting $30 million because Trump has gifted over $1 billion from his coins, cryptos. No, you don't know that. There's been no audit on what Trump's made from crypto. Nobody knows how much money Trump's made from crypto. You're just guesstimating. It's just liberal swing, and This is what liberals do. They project. They steal a bunch of money and they use their name and then they say, well, Trump's the evil one. Yeah, okay. Trump's made money off of his name through crypto. So what? These people, some of these people shouldn't even be in the government. I mean, these people are born in like Zimbabwe and then they're the mayor of fucking Seattle. It's a joke. If you were planning on being a teacher, what class would you be teaching? I was very good at simple math. So I would like to be like a third grade math teacher. I'd be very good. Second grade math teacher. I've always been extremely, like when it got to algebra, that's when it was an issue. But I could do a lot of the simple math problems, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction, top of my class in math. But then the algebra, it's like, let's not do this. With the letters, let's not do it. Video mistake the man that called into a news station. All right, I'll look that up. I'll see if it's getting views or not. Maybe it's not getting views because of that.
Kitchline tip $9.99 through Super Chat. Near far wherever you are, we want your resources. Musical notes emoji.
Disappointing she didn't sing that. Thank you for the donation. I called yeah, guys, the TTS for it to read is $5. I mean, I'll read it anyways. I'm just saying we got derailed one time when it was lower. I'd call the Israel obsession noticing. Yeah, I mean, but I like labeling it something because it's easier. No, I agree to a large part, but
Ben Johnson tipped $10 through Super Chat. Are you anti-vax? If so, to what degree?
Well, let me just say a few things about the vaccination situation. We have a family doctor, a personal doctor, so I've gotten vaccines. I never got the COVID vaccine. I went to my personal doctor. He said I was young and healthy and didn't need it. So I never got the COVID vaccine. When you're young, though, I mean, I don't know, they need to do research into them. But I'm not going to be I'm not going to be in a position to where there are some obvious vaccines that should be had for your son, and I understand there is the thought, well, maybe there's an uptick in autism and that needs to be studied and things like that. But the COVID stuff, it's like, oh, you're a weirdo for not getting it. No, my personal doctor said I shouldn't get it. So Rafa goat. Oh, that's the reason why we had to stop it. But it didn't make sense to continue that $2 anyways, because it was really derailing it, whether or not you donated, because it was too much. But yeah, I mean, you donated like 20 times or 15 times, and it was constant. And you try and have like a conversation, parasocial with me. Have you followed today's Trump meeting with the Polish president? I've seen a few clips of it. It's going to be they're going to be very buddy-buddy, I'm sure, because Poland's immigration policy, and they're viewed as more conservative than the other European countries, so I'm sure they was very friendly. What do you think the future of programs like Social Security and welfare, with the debt being so ridiculous? Do you think the debt even matters anymore at the point we're in? Well, the debt is going to matter more because eventually we're going to have a debt. It's going to go into a debt spiral if it gets to be too much. But well, we can have debt. It's us having debt is not a problem. It's the amount of debt, relative to the GDP. And I think Social Security is going to have to be rearranged because we're not going to be able to maintain. So we have a fund where we've got like a surplus in terms of the payments, but the fund is going to run out. The fund is going to run out by 2033 or 2035. So Newsom got $9 million home in 2024 with $225K salary. How? It's a joke. These liberals, they're worse than Trump. They're worse than Trump with this stuff. And then they project onto Trump and say, oh, it's his crypto and he's the one doing it. Luckily, most liberals don't know much about crypto, but yeah, Trump has done some bad stuff with crypto, but they do. I mean, the insider trading, it's all terrible, and they're all the same. Did you see Shapiro on CNN talk about Social Security needing reform? Yeah, for as much as the Shapiro is very pro-Israel and obviously, but it was the contrast of seeing Shapiro go on there was pretty funny, and like all the like liberal angry people just trying to scream and like not know the concept of Social Security, and then of course the moderator or the mediator, the woman that is supposed to be the host, she has to get into it to her own argument with Shapiro, and she doesn't know the function of Social Security. So that was pretty funny, but it seemed like Shapiro was just on another level than those people. Trump talked about Musk today. I saw that Trump has said he wants Musk, back as a friend. Let me see if I can find it. I think it's on here. Breaking Epstein survivors asked on NBC, did you see here of Trump doing anything inappropriate in relation to Epstein? The answer from all of them is no. Nearly all errors from the 2020 census disproportionately hurt red states, with many undercounted and many blue states overcounted. But we have been talking about that for a while. Alex Jones issues an apology.
I want to apologize to the listeners and to our radio stations and TV stations and everybody for the way I behaved yesterday. Now, we have a delay system, and I was cussing on the air, but people on the internet got to see that, and I do my best not to behave like that. But I am a real person, and I am hot-blooded, and when you see me say something or do something on the air, it's what I believe, it's what I stand for. Unless it's, every 3-4 months I do a satire piece or a joke or, dress up like a Cookie Monster and, do some stupid skit. Well, what I say is what I believe, and with all my might and all my research and my integrity on the line. So I'm always a high road guy. I'm not a big infighter. I don't start beefs with our talk show host, especially my own. I don't run around and, do the controversy mill, that a lot of other people do. I'm known for not doing that. Except when people I've personally known a long time know they're lying about me or my crew and are saying things they know aren't true, then you can punch my button.
Whenever there's a clip of Alex, he's just got such a great studio, man. Like, he has the best new studio, seriously. Just like with just how big those screens are, I'm always impressed by the studio, honestly. You're not going to believe this, but as a liberal, you love Alex Jones. Oh, yeah, Alex is great. Trump says on Elon Musk, I like him now. He's a man of common sense. He's a good man. He's a good person. 80% super genius, and then 20% he's got some problems. And when he works out the 20%, he'll be great. Well, Elon is donating to Trump's super PAC again. And Elon said, as long as it's Vance for 2028, I've got the money train is coming. The money train is coming for Vance, and Musk said he's committing. He said it was $250 million in 2024. Now it's going to be $1 billion.
Tongue punch my fart box tip $5 through super chat. Just want to hear her read my name.
Makes sense. Are you over the age of 16? How do you forgive someone that implies you're a pedo? Well, it's politics is a tough business. Politics is a business that requires money, and Musk has money. That's why he would be forgiven. How soon do you think we will actually start cutting into the national debt? You heard the growth rate has been cut in half. Looks like the days of people piggyback riding on the system are over though. Yeah, it's because right now the deficit is still over 2 trillion. So it's going to be many years before we can start cutting into it unless something changes rapidly with Medicare and Medicaid. Those are two massive expenditures. And I mean, when it comes to Social Security, I mean, I don't see the program stopping. The Social Security, hypothetically, we can't be at a loss with Social Security because the money's already in the system. But it is a 6% tax that's just going back to the individual. You could take the tax off and then maybe tax something else to make more revenue for the government. Or you could tax wealthy people more. That's liberal policy. Tax corporations more. But it would have to be a restructuring of Medicare and Medicaid, and because remember, half of the debt, if you talk about $2 trillion, $1 trillion or around $1 trillion is servicing it. So if it's got a 4.5% interest rate, that's a lot of the debt right there. Alex Jones had the famous broadcast before 9/11. Thank you for the donation, Robert. Yeah, that is true, and it's been disputed, if he called that or if someone else called it, but. Never Vance, Peter Thiel, crony opinion. Yeah, he's going to have to address that, man. This is the problem, is every politician, unless they're Trump, they're rich, they're going to be getting money from somewhere. And that connection with Palantir, I think it's hard to refute because Palantir is such a shadowy operation. And you can kind of make Palantir out to be whatever you want it to be. You can make it as a surveillance conglomerate. You can make it as a data. I mean, it is a data optimization machine that it takes large swaths of data and it simplifies it. But now it's like this military technology, and so I think Vance needs to come out with a statement on that or something. I don't know. It seems like a hard thing to get around if you're Vance, because you're going to have to be funded by someone, and obviously he was funded by Thiel. But the thing is that you have to remember about Thiel. Thiel is not Jewish. It was you or Shapiro that talked about Social Security should have been invested or privatized or something. Well, so Social Security, the problem with Social Security is the system that was in place in 1935. The variables that made Social Security work don't exist anymore. People are living too long for it to work. So because the variables don't exist anymore, you have to change the current variables to make it work. It's like right now with Social Security, they're trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. People are living too long, so they're getting more and more benefits. There's not enough workers, our birth rate's lower. And the people that are working are not making enough, on average, to have 6% of their income supplement for the amount that boomers are living till. They're living longer. In 1935, the average age of life expectancy was 3 or 4 years lower. So when you have a variable like that, the Social Security, I mean, I understand the idea of giving people a safety net, but it should probably be controlled in a different way rather than the way in which it's being controlled, which is just, I mean, they will invest some of it into treasury bonds. I know they do that. When the 6% gets taxed, it either just collects dust or it goes into a treasury bond rather than an S&P or whatever, because they say, well, it's too risky, that you don't want to risk people's money. The government's not going to risk your money when you get older. But, it is the way in which it's done is really, the money does not follow you. It's not like if I put in 6%, let's say I put in 20K or whatever of my salary this year, or 15K of my salary, I'm not going to get the 15K. The money immediately goes to the boomers. And then when I retire, if I have, I mean, I don't even think I'll have Social Security but if it happened, yeah, we got a donation. Did that donation not read? Should we have age cap, Congress, Senate, President, Supreme Court? You think so? 65 tops, then time to retire? No, 65, maybe 70. I think 65 is a bit young. But I mean, look at Trump. Trump is 79. It depends when it comes to that. It depends how the individual ages a lot of the time. But yeah, there probably should be a cap. It should be a bit younger. When Bitcoin hits 500K, you stop working. Yeah, Bitcoin 500K would probably be, 2030 maybe. Maybe this next cycle. I don't know if it's gonna be 500K this next cycle. If it could be close. Maybe it'll start working differently. Maybe there won't be cycles. Maybe it'll just keep going up because of the the rarity of it as internet currency is digital gold. Most people on Medicaid are living in nursing homes. You just don't see how they would find a substitute. The notion of eliminating medical aid would get any candidate unelected. Well, you have to understand, this is the problem. When you look at Medicare and Medicaid, they admit there's about at least $200 billion in fraud and overcharge per year. And that's just Medicaid. No, that's just Medicare. Medicare is the one that we spend a ton on. I think it could be around $400 billion in just fraud every year. So somehow that's going to have to be cleaned up. But you're right. You can't really clean it up because you're just get immediately smeared like you're taking away health coverage from people if you try and do it. So I don't know. It's a hard thing to be elected on. And the same thing with Social Security. But people have to understand the function of Social Security would be restructuring Social Security in a way. I mean, there are people that really do not like the boomer generation, and they're saying, well, they shouldn't get it or anything, but because that's a problem. If you try and restructure Social Security, you're going to get hit with you're just taking money away from, this is their rightful money. They got taxed at 6%, so it's their money. But, they would keep most their money, but it would have to be restructured. Because we can't continue Social Security. We're going to run at a deficit on Social Security, or people are going to get paid out significantly less.
When you're talking about the government paying, you're talking about Social Security,
Yes.
which is people's money.
Well, it is.
That's-
It is not the money you paid in. It's
the system that they pay into.
Well, no,
you're
you're
calling.
Paycheck stub.
Yes, but believe me, I pay a lot.
I know I pay into Social Security. I don't know about
I promise you,
but...
the amount that people are taking out is not the amount that is going in, which is why we are going bankrupt.
Okay, but it's not the government just handing out a blank check.
No, it's the government
People
borrowing money
into
to pay.
the Social Security
Well, you pay
system.
in X dollars, and then you get multiple times X dollars when you retire. That is how the system works. It is not a lockbox. This is what Al Gore was arguing about in 2000.
And that is true, especially the boomers. The amount that they paid in relative to what they take out, even adjusted for inflation, is a lot more. And that's going to change. It's going to turn into a lot less. That's the problem with it. Because we don't have the workers to supplement the amount. But the people that are in Social Security right now are making a lot more. But I don't think I agree with Shapiro and his obsession to want to continue working after 65. I don't agree with that. 65 is old enough to be able to retire in the United States, you would think. But he says you should work until, you're 75 or 80. You see Ben making mathematical argument without showing a spreadsheet. Well, I mean, his argument, in a way, Social Security is not supposed to operate, and impact the debt. Because there is a fund that they have to they tap into because they have a backlog of money. They've got like this trust fund, and they don't have the amount of money right now from the workers to generate enough to pay the boomers. So they're tapping into the fund. So technically, I don't think it's they run at a negative, but eventually it's going to be to where they're going to run out of the fund. That's where the 2033 year comes in, and yeah, I'll go to this. Hold on. Man, how much makeup does DeSantis have here? That's just got to be a...
Well, first, we believe in informed consent, and we believe in parental rights. Those have been core principles that we've operated on both during COVID and after COVID. Now, what the Surgeon General pointed out today is there are actually some mandates in Florida regulatory that never even made it into statute through his agency, long before I was governor, long before he was Surgeon General. So he has the ability to peel those back. He also has the ability, which he's doing, to expand the religious objection to include moral and ethical concerns about it. And so we feel that's empowering people to make the right decision.
It might just be on my screen. it looks like they've covered DeSantis in, I don't even, like, bronzer. It seems like it's seeping into his hair. Like this is like a really dark brown, some type of makeup or something. And like you can see in the contrast from his lips to what his skin is. That's got to be that's an edit, I think.
For themselves and for their families, and as a parent, you shouldn't be penalized. Right now in this country, you go in for a surgery, some places won't see you if you haven't had the COVID shot or certain immunizations.
They have him Hannity level makeup. Yeah, Hannity can barely move his he can barely like smile because of the amount of makeup. It'll crack. I mean, that's a real makeup job, and that all those guys get serious makeup. You go on Fox News, it's a protocol. They bring in a person, they bring in a girl to pat you down. Should Britain abolish the monarchy? That's their history. But I don't know, whatever Britain is doing is not working. They need to have a major call to action on something. I don't know. Maybe it's nothing ever happens. Maybe nothing will happen, but they're going through it. But it is also something to where Elon Musk is out, but they are really changing, because now the liberals in Britain are saying, well, we got to stop the invasion. When the liberals are saying it, you know it's bad. You don't want your future kids to ever have a vaccine. 3 in 1980. Today it's over 70. Well, I mean, that is how science advances. And they're able to... Look, I'm not going to try and, simp for vaccines or anything, but it's a decision you have to make for your children. And you need to consult people for it. But, I mean, that is how science progresses. They make, new cures. There's new cures for diseases and stuff like that, so... Yeah, I don't know what's going on with DeSantis. These are some crazy... I mean, I wonder if anyone else noticed that.
Going toward the deli. Get on the ground!
I get whiplash from this.
Get on the ground!
Old dude with a takedown, I guess.
Standing with these survivors, and we're giving them a voice, and I want to close by thanking them. They are brave. I hope they encourage other survivors to come forward and to tell their stories, not just of Jeffrey Epstein and Maxwell, but anywhere in the country. This is a message.
Fun facts, the election had 42 million viewers, while the Super Bowl had 108 million. Also, it was across all networks that streamed the election. How uneducated has the country become? Yeah, but the Super Bowl is a global thing. So that's why it would have significantly more than the U.S. election. Kansas or Mizzou? That's a good game. I hope Kansas wins. I like Kansas football. I hope they do well. But I don't know, man. As a liberal, you fully support MTG. Yeah, but MTG is doing the anti-Israel simping. MTG, I guess you could say, it's America first and stuff like that. You support MTG, that's pretty crazy. I don't know, you would be disowned as a liberal. Or do you just support her on this topic? You support her on the topics that go against Trump. You should be clear. You think it's embarrassing that more people watch the Super Bowl than the election? Well, the Super Bowl is global. You don't like raising the retirement age at all. It should be 60, and that's when you're done. Well, I think it's a problem to lower it because of where we're at with Social Security. I guess you could reform it and try and change it and manipulate, you know, the economics to make it possible. I mean, you could retire it. If you have enough money, you can retire at any point. You don't have to stay working. The government doesn't mandate you to stay working, but most people, they need the 100% of the benefits, and so. But a lot of it depends what you're in. You know, it could be, sometimes it's not even 65. Sometimes it's just 30 years or 25 years at a certain practice, and you'll get full benefits and you'll get Social Security. Sometimes it's not even till 65. It depends the benefits of the job you're working and how long you work it. MTG was sucking Mondani. You're being sarcastic. You're over embellishing, I hope. No, I'm kidding. But she was what was she supporting Mondani or something? Vance got booed. I know, I saw that. It's very bad. It's poor taste. They celebrate, these kids have died, and this is not the time to do that. I mean, but that's what these liberals do. The Survivor just named Clinton and Trump missing context. JoJo. Liberal boomer slop is what I call that. Why don't they put Social Security into crypto and pay out using the appreciation? Yeah, that'll work. People would like that. People would like the volatility of crypto and trust it in their retirement savings. Per Google AI in 2023, 20% of Americans 65 plus employed. 20%. I mean, that's not a crazy high number. Is the hate on Vance by conservatives because his wife is Indian? No, it's mainly because of his relation to Palantir, the military technological giant. It's actually not a big it's not a large AI tech conglomerate. It's rather small, but it's growing. Its market cap is growing significantly. You say cutting out the military spending by % would be a step in the right direction, closer relations with Russia. Yeah, dude, I did. The problem is, how are we going to cut the military spending? We just raised it by $150 billion with this spending bill. So we're going in the opposite direction when it comes to that. I hear what you're saying, but there's no way that's not realistic. You're not going to cut military spending by 50%. That's an unrealistic ask. That's completely unrealistic for the United States to cut their defense by a 50%. No, that's not going to happen. They would never cut it by that much. I'm not even sure that would be feasible to cut by that much in a single year or even over the course of several years. All right, where's this Kirk?
This connects to my previous point. This is also psychological deterrence, because now, tonight, if someone wants to go get in one of their boats to go bring more drugs in the United States, they might look up in the sky and they might say, hey, what's that blinking light? Is that a drone? Is that someone that might strike us? Now, Will, we do not want to see another endless quagmire. However, I will say, though, that it's about time we start to use force in our own hemisphere. In my lifetime, we've always used force and tanks and drones and missiles and airstrikes in lands far distant on the other side of the world. It's about time that we start to use that sort of military might against the very thing that is killing the most amount of our own people. Right now, people are dying of opioids. They're dying of fentanyl at way too high rates. These drug cartels have been...
Yeah, I think Kirk is right. I don't see what the big problem is with this. There has to be a show of strength. It's necessary, and sometimes there might be casualties from situations where strength is needed. Palantir Technologies currently ranks 27th largest company. Yeah, well, when you compare it to Nvidia, where does it rank? Look at its market cap versus Nvidia. We have to stop with this daddy on Palantir being this massive surveillance technology. Everybody is just obsessed with Palantir in the United States now. You would love to see Vance adding Minnesota, New Hampshire, and even Virginia, New Jersey to the Republican column. Yeah, I think it'd be a challenge. I think Virginia would be a real challenge. They would all be a challenge. No, you're not banned. People equating taking out drug traffickers with regime change wars is stupid. Our military is finally doing what it's... But yeah, I don't see the issue with it. I think anytime Trump does something militarily, they have to, have outrage or something. I didn't even hear, they're like angry about, destroying a drug boat. I don't see the issue with it. I really don't. This is what the U.S. the U.S. military does. These boats are causing havoc, wreaking havoc, and they're causing a lot of crime and a lot of drugs to be poured into the United States. It's a problem. Vance is not authentic. MAGA will fracture rather than appoint him as a leader. That sounds like a liberal cope to me. That's liberal fan fiction.
On the Venezuela vessel strike, what legal authority were you guys working under, and will there be an after report on the strike?
Well, I'm sure there's going to be an after report. I mean, the legal authority, and I want to talk about these kids, is that there are people who are bringing literal terrorists who are bringing deadly drugs into our country, and the President of the United States ran on a promise of stopping this poison from coming into our country. Another question?
On the Venezuela.
No, your chats are not being suppressed. 9 lives. Your chats are not being suppressed. I can see them. Yeah, no one's really saying anything. These liberals are less. Yeah, these liberals, man. And then they act like they have the moral high ground, and then just multiple stories about them with just millions of dollars in fraud. It's like worse than Trump's crypto stuff. 6 far-right AFD politicians found dead in Germany. It's terrible. It's terrible. And so they call them far-right. It's like, we don't want the Somalian that has a 72 IQ in the country. You're far-right. Oh, you're far-right. Yeah, they're all getting further. They're all going to be far-right. They're going to be far-right if this continues. And you continue. They're murdering the politicians, it looks like, in Germany that are with the AFD. The alternative for Deutschland. That's a crazy, crazy story. Check out what Whitney Webb thinks of Palantir. Well, yeah, I'm sure it's very Palantir, anti-Israel. It's a surveillance. Israel's going to own the United States. They already own it. Our capital is going to be Jerusalem. Germany is the most woke country in Europe. Terrible what has happened. And no, it seems like they've got the AFD is the biggest party. It's a right-wing party, but they've got some really bad meddling, apparently. People who are so worried about Palantir don't have the slightest clue what they are talking about. No, I hear you. It's more of a fear-mongering tactic because there's unknown behind AI and what AI can potentially do as a technology. I wouldn't see another alternative to cutting the deficit, though. Cutting welfare too much would piss a lot of people off. Well, it would have to be some type of combination of, revenue. I mean, it would have to be a raising of taxes on rich people, combination with a better situation in terms of what the government gives out in entitlement funding. The New York Times was running hit pieces on Palantir, so know where it's coming from. Yeah, well, there's a lot of talk about Palantir. Palantir is one of the big AI boys that's getting talked about in relation to Vance and how he's getting his money. And so there's going to be a lot of talk with that. Vance is going to have to, come up with some type of defense for that. But every politician outside of Trump, or if you're rich, they're all funded in a certain way, and so it's an up and coming technology that focuses on data extraction, so it's hard to explain away. No matter what happens in Mexico or Venezuela, U.S. intervention is never the right thing. It didn't help with. Well, I mean, it can work. It depends in the way in which you implement it. You can't have a policy just because it didn't work in a place that's thousands of miles away. It's not going to work in Mexico. That's a false equivalency. Mexico is right on our border. We could have intervention in Mexico and it could go well. Just because it doesn't go well in the sandbox in the Middle East doesn't mean it wouldn't go well in Mexico. 2024, 37 Mexican politicians killed, now Germany. I know, that was crazy, but that's all cartel related. Average Somalian would be considered regarded. I know what you're saying here. Yeah, I know what you're saying. But no, we have to import them because we're a nation of immigrants or something.
I have never had a day that will stay with me like this day did, because I really felt like these parents, in the midst of the worst grief of their entire lives, they opened up their lives and they opened up their hearts and they made me part of it. So I'd ask a couple of things, straight from the parents and straight from the families to my fellow Americans. First of all, while 2 kids lost their lives, there's still 1 kid that's in very serious condition, and every single family, the family of Lydia, who luckily recovered, but we visited her in the hospital, the family of the 2 who died, Harper and Fletcher, all 3 of those families said, please say a prayer. So to my fellow Americans, if you're the praying type, say a prayer for this innocent girl who's actually in surgery right now.
Yeah, Vance is a nice person. Dr. Oz makes a comeback.
I want to ask you about this because there's a lot of discussion about the childhood vaccine schedule. And today there was an announcement in Florida that they will move to end all childhood vaccine mandates in the state. That came from Governor DeSantis this afternoon, and it's in conjunction with the state Surgeon General, Joseph Ladapo. What is your reaction to that, and do you agree with that? Would you recommend the same thing to your patients?
I would definitely not have mandates for vaccinations. This is a decision that a physician and a patient should be making together. The parents love their kids more than anybody.
Convert to Islam. I'm a Caucasian Western American. I wouldn't touch Islam with a 1,000,000-foot pole. I want you to love Hee Hee Coin. Another Solana shitcoin. I can already tell by the name of it. Hee hee. So confused about the right's position on vaccines. If you had a kid, would you give them measles? It's like 80 years old. No. The right, see, this it's been construed in the wrong way. The point is, there's all these pharmaceutical companies that are suppressing studies, and because they want to make money, it's for profit. And that's the same thing with COVID. See, the issue with COVID wasn't the fact that it was a novel virus we didn't know. It was they were forcing it on young people when the young people had like a 99.999% survival rate, and they were still forcing it on young people and mandating it in the name of profit and saying that you have to get this, when it was really only affecting older people with comorbidities and significant comorbidities. So I think that's the issue. And then they try and swing it like, oh, these people are all kooks and stuff like that. Well, I mean, there's been an uptick in certain things, and so I think they're going to investigate it. I don't know. You put your old Twitter name in your video. What, the football video? That's because it's the same format. That's why. It's the same format I used to use for my NFL predictions. Yeah, nobody is hating on all the vaccines, but something like COVID and the way it was tested and the way it was mandated on young people, normal reputable doctors, including my doctor, said it's it's not necessary for young people. Why are meme coins so popular? The root of it mainly is because you realize that many of the other altcoins or utility coins have no real utility. And a lot of the times there's vesting schedules where insiders have a lot of the supply. It happens with meme coins as well, but meme coins, you don't have to deal with a lot of the stuff you have to deal with supposedly utility altcoins, even though most altcoins have no utility at all and it's irrelevant. So what's the point? What does Israel owning the U.S. and the capital being Jerusalem mean? Oh, that was being sarcastic in response to somebody that I was over exaggerating a point that people want to make on Israel. Did you see the flyover today? Yeah, I did. Ethereum. Ethereum has 100% has utility. I wouldn't invest into Ethereum, but I love Ethereum, the blockchain. But Ethereum is, I mean, you can build on Ethereum, man. People don't like it because of the gas fees. That's why they've got Base. They've got Base now.
Chance on Dryzy tipped $5 through Super Chat. Apparently some news network put a D next to Massey's name. Embarrassing. But then Lolbits only helped Dems anyway.
Yeah, no, I saw that. That was Fox News, I believe, that did that. And you could say it's an accident or whatever, but obviously there's an undertone with Massey being, anti-Trump with this Epstein. If you're going to have a D symbol next to his name, as in he's a Democrat, yeah, it's hard to say it's an accident. You need to stop being online so much, Ben. Your obsession with online politics is probably hindering your real life. To this day, I can't figure out why the incredible majorities of the U.S. government want to fund it. Blackmail. Why wouldn't you have invested into ETH? Oh no, I would have invested into ETH during its pre-sale or in 2016. But it's just like Bitcoin. Ethereum is the market cap of it's half a trillion dollars. There's no reason to invest into Ethereum, the coin itself. Now you're not going to get a high return. That doesn't mean it's not a great utility and it's a great blockchain. But I'm not going to invest into something that's it's number 2 in terms of market cap. It doesn't make sense from a return perspective. But yeah, I would have invested into Ethereum in 2016. I would have invested into Bitcoin in 2015, 2016, of course. But now those coins, they're gone. The 100x's on those coins, it's happened. It's not happening anymore. They're too high in market cap. There's not enough money in circulation for a Bitcoin to 100x, for Ethereum to 100x. I honestly think it makes way more sense for the U.S. to ally with Russia. Seems there is way more to be gained in partnership with Russia. Yeah, I hear you. It's just liberals hate Russia. So what is our alliance with Russia really going to do if they try and end it right when they get in, they get control of the executive branch? I think it's a problem. But I hear you on allying with Russia and kind of pitting them against China and isolating China to the Far East. Russia and China are barely partners anyways. They're just partners because NATO is such a massive, massive structure. Thoughts on Labubu? Labubu coin on Ethereum? Yeah, I've seen it. I mean, I guess it could do decent. When do you predict the Bitcoin bubble will burst? It's not a bubble. It's not going to burst. It's a stored value digital asset that cannot, continue. There's no more circulating value once it gets to 21 million. Once the mining happens to 21 million by 2040, all of it's going to be circulated. All of it's going to be mined. So it's adopted by too many countries at this point for it to be a bubble. Trump just gave high tax cuts to the rich, though. You don't see any Republican candidate ever giving sizable tax raises to the rich to cut it down. Well, I mean, that's because Trump's a billionaire. Trump's a unique in the sense to where he has relationships with a lot of these corporations, a lot of these people. He's one of them. So him giving tax cuts or giving them higher taxes doesn't seem very likely on the basis of where he came from. Dangerous alliance is Russia, China, and India. You would rather have Russia and India on the U.S. side instead of China's side. Certainly, I mean, you could see that as a convenience perspective for the East to align with those three countries together against Europe and the United States and Canada. So I think that would be a problem if it happened. But I don't see how feasible it is and how if India would really want to do that. Seems like India does have a good relationship with the United States. It's just Trump has threatened them recently, so they got a little angry about it. But I don't think it's anything long term. You love us allying with Russia. Culturally, we're very compatible. It seems that politically, everyone seems intent on forcing conflict. Well, that's not a liberal opinion at all. Unless you're a classical liberal from 20 years ago. If that's the case, you'd be more conservative now. No, liberals do not like Russia. And us being comparable to them, and I mean, I'd love to be comparable to Russia in immigration policy 100%. JB Pritzker just admitting that people will die because it happens in big cities is wild to me. He will sacrifice his people just to not give Trump a win. Well, they're all doing a whataboutism on Trump and trying to blame Trump for guns entering the state of Illinois when the state has recorded like record number of gun sales in the past years. I mean, they're all just blatantly lying and not taking any accountability for the problem within their city. And, it's this obsession with Trump and going against him. And so, look, it is what it is. Trump's going to say there's this big problem in the cities, and they're going to say, well, there's problems elsewhere and do whataboutism on Trump, and they're trying not to solve anything. They don't want anything solved. They just want to go against Trump, and it's good for the Democrats whenever any one of them goes against Trump because it's like galvanizing. Russia were our boys in the 1940s. They were super commies, but they definitely did. We gave them a ton of money, and it's a combination of both sides. But a lot of the people think that Russia did everything. There's no way. There's no way Russia, without the Lend-Lease Act, I think it'd be a big, or just the Lend-Lease in general, I think it'd be a big problem for Russia to be able to survive against Nazi Germany. I mean, I still think it's a problem for Germany with a two-front war, but the amount of money we gave them through Lend-Lease was significant, and they sacrificed a lot for sure. The Russians had so many casualties, so many more casualties than the Nazis. Bring back the vlogs. I'm gonna do a room tour or something, man. I'll do something like that. I'll do something. We're moving to the right at such a fast rate, it will be a majority conservative country. Yeah, no, I would agree with that. I think a lot of it's due to the immigration. I mean, even look at Europe moving to the right now. Interesting how Snowden fled to Russia for safety. Well, they've got like anti-extraction policy where, you know, they're not going to send him back to the United States for trial. But Snowden is kind of a weird situation. He lives in Russia. He says he likes it now. He doesn't want to come back to the United States. That's what he says.
I want to ask you about this because there's a lot of discussion about the childhood vaccine schedule.
All right, we don't need to see this. National Guard to Philadelphia. Yeah, I think it's gonna happen. I think he's gonna send the National Guard to a lot of these cities. Oh, not the gay pride stuff. Their city is filled with Somalians now. It's being taken over, and this is what they care about. They care about Vance paying his respects to the victims. I mean, this is horrible. Realistically, I could see the left initiating a long-awaited civil... Yeah, they're going to get desperate. They're outnumbered by so many just normal, independent people are just done with immigration. They're done with this. They're just sick of it. They're sick of having their homes stolen. And it's going to be the vast majority of people are conservative. I mean, it's just the reality. So they're going to have to start some type of conflict. They're going to get real desperate. And I don't know what it's going to be, but... Why are liberals protesting dead children? Because they hate Catholics. Because they're evil people. They're really evil people, and Vance is trying to help, and you know, it's just not necessary. And then their cities get just thrown all like, look, it's almost like you just want to let the immigration happen to these major cities, but then it's like the cities just get completely obliterated. So do you really want that to happen? I don't know.
Call 911. Oh my god. Brooke, call 911. Call 911.
Paintball gun? I don't know what that ended up being there. Civil War would not go well for the libs. They have no guns. They have talk to them, they'll be like, we control all the cities. So no, it would not go well for them at all. But I don't think it would happen in the way we think it's gonna happen. Like, it's not. I don't think it's gonna actually be fighting like you know, every conservative versus every liberal. It would be pockets of fighting, I think. But it wouldn't be like the you know, the original Civil War. Yeah, in the UK, I mean, in Europe, people get arrested all the time for comments they make against the government. Trump talked about Putin and Epstein. Global anti-immigration movement is happening now. Yeah, even in Australia, you know, all the majority of Caucasian countries are turning anti-immigrant. So, would you do a video on the Kim Jong-un, Putin, and Xi parade that just happened? I don't know. I mean, it would have to be tomorrow if I do a video on it. It is a powerful parade. I mean, it's definitely a show. I mean, we can't do that in America. They would clutch pearls, and we could barely have a military celebration. Remember that? Remember we were going to have a military celebration, and it's all these soldiers that aren't even marching in proper formation, and liberals are like, oh, this is fascism. And then you see something like this where they do this amazing parade, and they've got all these different sections of people, and they've got all these marches. But we can't have that. We can't show a size. We can't show strength by doing that because they say it's fascism. When we have soldiers that don't even march correctly in a line, and it's this terrible fear-mongering thing. Did you see Trump's recent post about Rosie O'Donnell? No, I didn't. I would prefer Trump just. You know, she wants recognition. She wants Trump to post about her. Just forget about her. He's talking about the hot mic. You're remarkably out of the loop. Yes, I know about the hot mic where they talked about living forever via organ donation transplants. Oh, I'm out of the loop. Could you do sports commentary for local high schools? Yeah, that doesn't make sense for me to do that.
Protect our kids! Do this for our children! Protect our kids! Do better! You're a coward! Do better!
And so there's protesters who I guess they want strict gun control, they want rights taken, and they're trying to use these deaths as and politicize it. Leftist to white women, yep.
Washington, D.C. is a totally safe city. You're not reporting any crime because there is none. They said crime is down 87%, and I said, no, it's not. It's down 100%. We have a great thing going. I could do that with Chicago. We could do that with New York. We could do it with Los Angeles. So we're making a determination now. Do we go to Chicago, or do we go to a place like New Orleans, where we have a great governor, Jeff Landry, who wants us to come in and straighten out a very nice section of this country that's become quite tough, quite bad. So we're going to be going to maybe Louisiana.
That's great.
You have New Orleans, which has a crime problem. We'll straighten that out in about 2 weeks. It'll take us 2 weeks, easier than D.C. But we could straighten out Chicago. All they have to do is ask us. to go into Chicago if we don't have the support of some of these politicians. But I'll tell you who is supporting us, the people of Chicago. And I sort of want them to let it be known they have incompetent people.
Well, that's good if you go to Louisiana, because that was one of the big retorts. They were like, well, Trump, he won't go to conservative states. Need him to come to Shreveport. Yeah, there's some bad liberal mayoral cities in Louisiana for sure, and down south in other states.
I think the Republicans will vote for an extension. We won't have any Democrat votes. We could give the greatest budget ever. Tax cut of 50%, everybody taken care of, perfect for women, perfect for men, perfect for minorities, perfect for everything, and we wouldn't get one vote for the Democrats because they've lost their mind. They are so deranged. They have Trump derangement syndrome, and I don't want to burden the Republican Party with it, but they really are. They've become almost sick. They actually think there is a disease. It's called Trump derangement syndrome. They've got it. No matter what we did, no matter how good, you could give them everything that they've ever dreamed of, and you wouldn't get one vote.
You guys remember the moment yesterday when Trump saw this AI video? And I had seen these circulating on YouTube where it's like they show a celebrity using AI and the celebrity grows up and it's like this transitional video where it's like a few seconds of the celebrity from when they're 2 years old, from when they're 15 years old, from when they're 30 years old. And Trump was so at awe with the video. He's like, who did that? And then he actually talked about it. He was like, somebody made an AI video of me. And he's like, it's AI. I was shocked. He saw this video of himself. It was like him growing up through the years. And he really liked it, I guess. He was surprised.
You've also mentioned before they could possibly replace federal income tax.
Possible.
Do you think that's
Someday it's possible. It used to be. So if you go back to 1913 is when they ended tariffs. We were the richest ever from 1850. It was all tariffs. We didn't have income taxes. From 1850 to 1913. In the 1887s, about 1887, they had the Great National Tariff Act. And it was a group of people that got together because our country was so rich, they didn't know what to do with the money. We had so much money, they didn't know what to do. It was a group of very prominent people that were set up to hand out money to everybody because we were the richest we ever were. Proportionately, we were in 1887, around that time, even in 1913. We ended them in 1913. How did that work out?
Look at him.
Then we went to the income tax system, and then we had the Depression. And by the way, a lot of people try and say that, oh, tariffs with the Depression. No, they ended in 1913, and then we went to income tax, and then in 1929 you had the Depression. They did try and bring it back in 1931-32, but the Depression had long started, and this
wow,
poor,
Trump is
beautiful
remembering.
nation was gone. It was gone. We suffered for 25 years. It took 25, 30 years to really recover from the Depression. And we don't ever want to see that happen again. The tariffs are vital to the success of this country. When I say I ended 7 wars, at least half of those wars were ended because of the power of tariffs. I was able to say, well, we're not doing any business with you, or if you're going to war, we're putting a big tariff on you. And all of a sudden they announced that the war was settled. I settled 7 different...
Yeah, the Polish guy is... When you go in there with Trump, there's a level of respect that you got to have. And Trump, he knows history of tariffs. I mean, he's saying it right now. We did have tariffs, and I think the current dynamic of tariffs makes it challenging to do what we did in the early 1900s. But Trump is right on the idea that we use tariffs, you know, as a way for basically for taxes rather than the citizens paying. So, listen, he knows, and remember when they said Trump was sick, and just, he looks good to me. Trump should have been a history teacher, not. Yeah, Trump, he knew a lot when he was younger. He's lost some of it, but you can still see it. Some of it's still there.
When you visit a restaurant in D.C., you haven't gone to...
I might, sure.
You haven't gone to one in either of your terms that wasn't in a hotel. Because I and many other...
You want me to prove you wrong? You want me to prove you wrong?
Yes, please.
But I will, I think it's something we could consider doing. I'd love to do it. I love the White House food, but after a while I could see going to a nice restaurant. It's safe. If you would have said, like the governor, Governor Moore, wanted me to go and walk through Baltimore with him, and I said, you know, I think I'm a brave guy, but there's no reason to be stupid. They have crime that's at levels that nobody's ever seen before in Baltimore. They've done a terrible job. We'd go into Baltimore, straighten it out very quickly, too. You know why? They respect our soldiers. You see our soldiers. They respect...
You visit...
I'm embarrassed to say it in front of the president of Poland. 11 people were killed.
They crammed so many people in camera and boom mics into the... Yeah, I know. I know. It's a big production they got there. Look at all the gold that Trump has. And then people say, well, it's tacky. No, it's a decor preference.
72 people were shot. Last week, 7 people were killed in Chicago, a place which is probably your #1 place. I hate to say it.
Yeah, local polls.
And we got to keep it safe. But 7 people were killed. The week before that, 5 people were killed, and 21 people were shot. This is in 3 weeks. So in 3 weeks, they lost almost 35 people were killed. It could have been stopped. If you look at Washington, D.C., 3 weeks ago, it was the same or worse. And now it's considered a totally safe zone. Restaurants are open. They're bustling. Restaurants, you have to see.
Do you know you're on a watch list? There's probably some government staff member. Well, there's like millions of people on different watch lists. There's anonymous people probably on watch lists. I mean...
I have no message to President Putin. He knows where I stand, and he'll make a decision one way or the other. Whatever his decision is, we'll either be happy about it or unhappy. And if we're unhappy about it, you'll see things happen.
So he's hinting at possibly a significant upgraded armament for Ukraine.
What I understand, I could check, but from what I understand, thousands of pages of documents have been given. But it's really a Democrat hoax because they're trying to get people to talk about something that's totally irrelevant to the success that we've had as a nation since I've been president. Even if you look at D.C. right now, D.C., it's a totally safe zone. It's called a safe zone. That's a term. It's a term of...
Thoughts on Putin and Xi living to 150? I don't think... I mean, it's interesting that got caught. To be fair, it is interesting. But, I mean, they wouldn't just talk about it off the cuff if there wasn't research done by their governments. So, I don't know what to make of that. Organ transplants for them to live to 150? I don't think so, but...
It's a safe zone because it's very safe. You can walk down the street now and nothing's going to happen. No crime, no murders, no nothing. Because we had a lot of problems with...
Yeah, so Trump's talking about that.
The beautiful ceremony. I thought it was very, very impressive. But I understood the reason they were doing it, and they were hoping I was watching, and I was watching. My relationship with all of them is very good. We're going to find out how good it is over the next week or two. I think that we helped China very much, as you know, when they talk about freedom. And I don't believe that, and maybe I'm wrong, I hope I'm wrong, but I don't believe that America, that the United States was acknowledged for helping China to gain its freedom. But perhaps that was just that was a sleight of hand. I mean, I was very surprised. I watched the speech last night. President Xi's a friend of mine, but I thought that the United States should have been mentioned last night during the beautiful ceremony.
Well, they had a military parade. They're trying to flex on the U.S. They have a lot of the Eastern leaders there. What a beautiful day in DC. Trump does that. Do you think China will advance medical research faster than the West due to their lack of human rights and ethics? Well, they can definitely experience or experiment in different ways that the West cannot, because of what you said. Yeah, the Eastern Europeans are. I mean, the food that they eat is just disturbing. Some of the videos I've seen of some of the stuff that they eat a lot of stuff alive. You think Minnesota will flip in 2028 now? You hate Trump's friendship with Xi? Yeah, I don't think they really have a friendship. They don't really have a friendship. Trump and Xi Jinping. The Rosie post is on here. All right, I'll take a look at it. Trump just broke Rosie O'Donnell. We were giving serious thought to taking away Rosie O'Donnell's citizenship. Take away her Irish citizenship as well. Dude, this is like alt boomer. This is the boomer final boss, man. The boomer final boss strikes again. Trump's new ballroom concept is a much needed addition that brings splendor back to the White House. You can see a lot of future presidents giving speeches. Yeah, I think it's definitely a good addition for sure. People are a little bit angry about it right now, but it'll definitely be known as a good addition. I can't look at that for too long. That's going to give you nightmares. You look at that for too long, honestly.
So when you see strikes like this, we're showing it on the screen. That's a little speedboat with tons of narcotics coming to our coastline. How easier of a job does it make yours?
Makes it a lot easier. President Trump designated these groups terrorist organizations. And why? Because they have killed more Americans than every terrorist organization in the world combined. Under Biden, 250,000 Americans died from fentanyl that came across that open border. So President Trump's right. They're terrorists, and we're going to take them out. He's bankrupted them already. You just said it. They made record amounts of money under Biden, smuggling aliens, sex trafficking women and children, and dope. And with a secure border, we're bankrupting them. Now we're going to attack them. We're going to play the away game. You know, we're tired of playing the home game. We're going to play the away game now. And President Trump is committed to ending the cartel violence in this country. And look, they're sending little cartels now in 42 countries across the globe. Again, their time in the United States is limited under President Trump.
You think liberals will gradually leave for Canada or Europe if we keep getting conservatives electives? Yeah, and also their liberal birth rate is really bad as well. So that's another thing that would go against them for future generations. Their birth rate is really low. Thoughts on Beam? I have heard of that project, yeah. I don't know. I haven't looked into it enough. Rapid Response tweeting it out. Thoughts on liberals leaving to Mexico City and Mexicans trying to kick them out. Yeah, that's a little shred of irony right there, isn't it? I'd almost have to defend the liberals for moving in there because of the amount of immigration we've had from Mexico, and now they're angry about it. Now they're mad about us, really. That's funny. Net negative migration. Very, very nice.
I was emotional yesterday because I've known Owen 10 years, and he was a completely different person 10 years ago, and even 7 years ago. Funny, smart, hilarious, cool, a great guy to hang out with. And then even before he went to prison, he stopped ever wanting to hang out with any of us, really. And he got very, very cold and very, very angry. And no matter how much support we gave him or what we did, he just got more and more, I would just say, dark. But the reason I got so pissed was once I saw what he said and did, I could see the setup. I know how the media works, and no one's not stupid. Because he would imply he was being censored, but later say he wasn't censored. I know he's mad I criticized Trump, and he's losing White House access. None of that's true. And, lots of stuff like that, and then outright things that aren't true. I haven't gotten a raise since 2018, so I got a fundraise. Well, if almost having your salary doubled in those years, 3 raises is, I got his financials right here, his the numbers. I mean, I've got the spreadsheet on what he's been paid. I got the tax forms we filed, but I'm not going to, you've noticed he hasn't come out and challenged that. And I know.
So Owen Schroyer claimed that he didn't get a raise in, I guess, 7 or 8 years or something since 2018. I don't know, man. I like Alex. I don't know about Owen Schroyer. I think he tried to launch his independent career and got angry. And there's a lot of stuff about, well, Alex is trying to protect himself, and he's trying to keep nice with Trump, and Trump's in bed with Israel, so Alex has to be in bed with Israel to a degree. And there's a lot of passive aggressive stuff like that going on with this. And so Schroyer became more anti-Israel and started criticizing Trump with Epstein, and so Jones fired him. It just sounds like it's a bunch of bullshit. It seems like Schroyer wants to launch his independent career, and that's, he's making stuff up. He said, she said thing. Yeah, I guess. He'll probably just be independent if I had to if I had to say. The Costa Concordia capsize onto its side. It's like the Titanic. It sinks right when it launches. What was the cost of that? North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un allegedly traveled to China with his own toilet in order to protect his DNA. Wow. Eric Adams odds on dropping out 65% chance. He's probably going to get a position within Trump's administration because he's dropping out, I guess. These days, 70 years old. Earlier, people rarely lived to 70, but these days at 70, you were still a child. Inaudible. With the development of bio... You're talking about organ transplants. Be immortal. Yeah, it just seems like Bill. Inaudible slop. You think New Mexico can flip with Rubio or Cruz? Not Cruz. They wouldn't do. Cruz would not be on a ticket. No way. Have you heard anything about the Titanic 2? Of course, I've done several videos on the Titanic 2. Clive Palmer you're talking about. Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen, man. They've been saying they launched that project in 2012 and it's never been a real thing. You're saying it's going to launch by 2000 or 2027. I don't think it's going to happen. Certainly. Yeah, Cruz would not be the choice for VP at all. There's no way. We have cruise ships and much bigger. Well, it's more of the spectacle of the Titanic and how famous it was. It's like the most famous ship. It's one of the most famous ships in history, so you could kind of understand the lore of it. But the practicality of it is, you could argue one way or another. But guys, that is going to do it for this live stream. I'm going to end it there. Would you go on the Titanic too? I would like a first-class stateroom on the Titanic too, honestly. I wonder what the cost of it would be. It would be a floating museum, I think, after a certain time. Because the ship doesn't have the amenities that are necessary. But they would add it, apparently. They would add more. Cruz's chances are long gone now. Rubio still has a decent chance. Yeah, I mean, obviously, people have been talking about Rubio. Cruz, there's no way. There's no way it would be Cruz. Average Norwegian gamer. You're welcome. Social Network too. Yes, well, I would watch the Social Network too, for sure. All right, guys. I will see you.